My dear grandchildren, this is your Zeta speaking. My Hebrew name is Dr. Shimon Ben Meir. And I would like to give you my history. I'm now 93 years of age, and we're selling my house, which I lived in we bought in 1958, and we still have it, but it's time it has to go. Now, to begin with, my father came from New York, and my mother came from Poland. And they got married in New York, and my mother managed to drag my father to Vegreville, a very small town. If you can imagine, he came with his big fur coat and boots and gun. They settled there, and thankfully, they left the United States because we have a family of 4 boys and 1 girl, and I'm the second oldest. And if we had been born in the States, we would not have had the chance to get an education. So my father settled in Vegreville. It's a very small town. That's 1957. In our house, we had no running water. We had no sewage. For heat, we had a fire. We had a stove, a coal-burning stove, and so we had to carry the water in, carry the water out. We didn't have running water in the house. We had to go to the neighbor next door and pump the water out from his pump to get the water. But luckily, we had a very Zionist family living in Vegreville, Mrs. Olien. And in the back of her house, she had a little addition to the house, and us 4 children, my 4 brothers, and a few of the Olien 2 boys, we would come to her house after school every day and learn our Jewish history. And we read Dubnov's history in Yiddish, spoke it in Yiddish, and read and wrote it in Yiddish. So, but at that time, Jewish was a language to travel over the whole world. Everywhere you go, there's a Jew. With Jewish, but with Hebrew was the language of prayer. So I learned enough only to read for my bar mitzvah, and my education beyond that was very little. But Mrs. Olien got us to join Young Judea, so we went to Young Judea camp. And there's 4 brothers, and they used to say, "Oy vey, wherever you go, there's always an Adler." So there's 4 of us going to camp, and we met Jewish kids, and so we felt so much attached to our Jewish history. And in going to school, my mother talked me into taking piano lessons. I wasn't keen on the idea, but it grew on me. And so when I graduated from grade 10, from high school, grade 12, I finished my grade 10 of the Toronto Conservatory of Music. So I was able to play Chopin's Impromptu in A-flat. I was the featured pianist for the graduation. And I was having trouble finding a date because there are no Jewish girls at that time in Vegreville, but there was one girl, she was a survivor from the Holocaust, Susie, I think her name was, and she was my Jewish date. But when she wrote up her history, she didn't mention my name. I guess she didn't care for me just as well. Because I let my wife, she was a farm girl, came from the Peace River country. And we felt very comfortable in each other's company, and she did all the talking. I just had to listen. That was just fine. I didn't talk much in those days. So anyway, I got a good Jewish education, and very attached to Israel, Zionist ties. And in Vegreville, I started off going to medicine, and I changed my course, fortunately, and became a dentist. I became the happy dentist. Talking about dentistry, I was very fortunate because when I was a dentist, I had time to do volunteer work. I should mention, I didn't write this up because I was going off I'm 93 years of age and I forget a lot. When I was going to university, I became a SAMI, Sigma Alpha Bu fraternity. I joined the fraternity. And getting back to where I did, I joined the Julius Wheel, a neighbor of ours, got me to join the choir, the Beth Israel choir. So it's 19, and Tal found for me a tape that I was in the choir with Cantor Vigoda. Cantor Vigoda is a very famous cantor, and he had 5 of us, people that were not cantors. They formed a choir. So I was in the choirs from when I was 36 years of age. That was 1976, part of that, 1975. All these years I've been in choirs. Oh, when I was in Vegreville, I went to Mrs. Clements to play the piano, and I went up to grade 10, Toronto Conservatory of Music. So at that particular point, I could have been a piano teacher. But I took my wife, my future wife, Miriam, to listen to Arthur Rubinstein play the piano. I know Arthur Rubinstein I would never become. So when it came to an education, I decided I was going to go into medicine, but that's a long story how I changed over and became a dentist instead. I won't go into that history. So when I was practicing dentistry, I had time for volunteerism, and I was in the B'nai B'rith. We had a B'nai B'rith lodge in Edmonton, and I was a secretary of that lodge. And I was always ready to go into become into the presidency, but my wife Miriam took sick, and she had multiple sclerosis, and I didn't want to be burdened down with extra responsibilities. Which reminds me, when at university, I was vice president of the general. I was what? As a student, I was nominated to be to represent dentistry, our class. And when Miriam became president, I got my friend, I'm forgetting names of my classmates already, Michael Nodi, to take my place and run. So he won, and he became the president of the dental class, which I was very happy about. Because what happened is, my father expected Miriam to be my dental assistant, and she knew about it. And it wasn't her fault, but actually after we got married in 1955, and in 1956, Sherlanne was born. So she was crying and we were laughing. There were three of us boys living together in the basement suite. And my father didn't want us to get married because we were all a team. One did the cooking, one did the cleaning, and he didn't have to break up a team. So what happened, Miriam married me, and she got the two brothers as well. So the bride and seven brothers, she got me in. But she looked after us all very well, all those years I was married. And when I graduated from dentistry, I went to work as an associate with Dr. Ken Gordon. And then I said, I'm going to open up my own practice, and I'm wandering a little bit, so let's get back to what did I do. So while I was practicing dentistry, I was in B'nai B'rith. I worked with Mizrahi. I became president of the Beth Israel Synagogue, and I was asked to represent dentistry on the Alumni Council. So I was representing dentistry on the Alumni Council. What is the Alumni Council? The Alumni Council consists of representatives, all of the faculties of the University of Alberta. There's a representative from medicine, from dentistry, from engineering, for the dental students. Every faculty at the university has a representative there. And I started off as just a representative of dentistry, and after 3 years, Alec Markle, the executive director, asked me to run for vice president. And I ran against Bud Arbo, a friend of mine. And guess what? I won. There was a tie vote, but the president gave me his vote, put me in ahead of Bud. But he didn't mind it. We were still friends. He became president the next year. So while I was president on the Alumni Council, we accomplished several things. I could go a long story about what I did there, but I won't do that because that doesn't really fit into the picture here. But I did go from the Alumni Council representing dentistry. They asked me to be on the Senate representing oh yes, when I was on the Alumni Council, I was also on the Senate of the university, and I have a picture thanking me for the time I spent there. And also, I have another plaque. I served on the alumni for 10 years altogether. So I'm wandering. You'll have to forgive me. 93 years old. Okay, so Alumni Council. Okay, and I was then on the Board of Governors representing dentistry and the Alumni Council. There's a lot of stories I can tell you about things I accomplished with the Alumni Council, but most importantly, I had time to play the piano and be in the choir, and I played the piano for the Mrs. Sabofsky and I. She was a piano teacher. I was just a graduate from grade 10 trying to conservative music, but that was years ago. But she and I played together, and we played some duets, and we entertained the Jewish Drop-In Center. I was in the choir, and for many years, and I'd have choir practice every week, and we would be performing for Hanukkah, for Purim, for all the different occasions, and I'd be in the choir. When it was Hanukkah, we have some seniors' residences, and they would get me to come and play Jewish songs in the seniors' residence to entertain the seniors. So guess what? I'm entertaining seniors here now. After all these years, I have a class. There's on the third floor. It's a memory people who have dementia, and they're locked in. They can't get out. So I figured that they don't get any entertainment. So I took it upon myself. So I have an iPhone, an iPad. I got to call it the boom box. It amplifies the sound. I'm playing country music. I have them dancing, clapping their hands, and I do that once a week. And also I have a program here in the drop-in center called Jewish Music. And so I have, thanks to Risa and Murray, they got me to catch up into the current century. I had an iPhone. Not an iPhone. I had a simple phone, and Risa says to me, "Dad, you got to get a proper phone. That's just a simple phone." I said, "I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'll teach you." So she got me an iPhone. I didn't realize how important that was going to be in my life. And then Mark says to me, "Dad, I should get you an iPad." What will I do with an iPad? I wouldn't know how to handle it. He said, "You would use a computer?" I said, "Yes." Mind you, I never had a computer in my dental practice. But after I retired, at the Jewish Drop-In Center, they had a class on computers. So I went to the Jewish Drop-In Center and I took the class on computers, and believe me, I suffered with it. But I persisted. I learned how to use it. So Mark says, "Are you use a computer?" I says, "Yes." "Then you can use an iPad." So he got me an iPad. So as a result of this, when my wife Miriam developed a dementia, and she was in Capital Care Linwood for 8 years. I didn't miss one day of those 8 years. I went from 2 to 5. I had somebody from 10 till 2. I was with Miriam from 2 to 5, and someone else was there from 5 to 9. So when the COVID came, only one person could be with her. And by the way, I forgot to mention, from 4 to 5 every day for those 8 years, I played the piano. So I entertained Miriam, but they have 2 buildings side by side, and a roof over the top, and they were at an auditorium, and on both sides had balconies, so people could listen to me play. So I was entertaining people from the building, and I played Jewish songs and English songs, and they all enjoyed that. But when COVID came, I couldn't be there. So because I had the iPhone and I had the iPad, I could play music, and the lady looking after Miriam, she was with her from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. Can you imagine that? For 6 straight months. And Miriam had trouble eating and swallowing. So when I was playing music for her, she was able to eat. So I had to find Shlomo Carlebach and everything you can imagine. And I played music for her, and it got her to eat. And my Jane, who I hired to look after Miriam, had her iPhone. And I had held it in such a way I could see Miriam, and she could see me, and she knew I was playing music for her. So she, even though she had dementia and wasn't able to speak, she knew I was there. She could recognize the grandchildren. They called it dementia, but I don't think she had that much of dementia. But she had this Parkinson's. She just couldn't move. Yeah. So I was very happy that I had those grandchildren who were helping me and bring me to be able to help other people. I probably forgot a lot to say, but I'm 93 years of age. You'll have to forgive me. So I wish you all a happy life. There's a picture of Miriam right there, actually. That's Miriam. Miriam is a farmer's daughter, and when I first met her, I went to the farm to meet the family. And that's Miriam on the farm, and it's a haystack. So that turned out beautifully. And when I met her mother, she didn't have any teeth. So I took my equipment, my dental impression materials and everything, and I measured everything up, and I made a denture. So I've done I know for the first dentist that made a denture for a person on the farm without any, just natural light. Yeah, and when she retired and came to Edmonton, I thought it's time she had a new set of dentures. So I made a new set of dentures for her, and guess what? She liked the old ones better. So I relied on the old dentures, and she and was happy. So I was lucky that I had Miriam with me all these years, and she's the best wife she could ever possibly have. We were married for 65 years and 3 months. And I have a letter from the Queen of England congratulating us for being married for 65 years. And thanks to my son, Mark. He's the one that sent a letter or let the Queen know that we were married 65 years. And a letter from the Prime Minister, and I have that framed picture in our bedroom right now. And so we had a wonderful life. So all I can tell you is learn to say how to say that. Yes, dear. Shalom and Bayit. Yes, peace in the home. My father told me it's better to have a slice of bread in a house where there's peace than have a steak in a house where there's fighting. So Shalom Bayit, peace in the home. That you should all have a happy married life and live in peace. So I can say Shalom. I hope I haven't talked too much and talked your ear off, but there's trying to make a little capsule of what I've done. And I have had a problem that was, you should learn from my lesson. Don't be lazy. Do things the right way. I was in the bathroom and I was on one foot changing my pants, and I fell down and broke my hip joint. And I've been going through a lot of difficulties with that. So the moral of the story is, do things the right way. Don't look for shortcuts, because you might end up in trouble. They say a word for the wise is sufficient. I don't claim to be wise. I've lived a long time. And in my lifetime, I did a lot of volunteering. And it's rewarding. I would say to you that you should volunteer and help other people, whether you're in a choir or look for the ways that you can help somebody and contribute to society. And we're in troubled times, and your voices will be important to speak up and to try and do things you can help other people. And of course, specifically, the state of Israel needs our total support. And I'm a very staunch supporter of Israel, of our synagogue, and also the state of Israel. And don't be afraid to spend some time helping other people. It pays dividends. And be well, and enjoy your life, and look after your health. Health is wealth. Most of all, you have to be healthy. Take your vitamins. I'm a strong believer in vitamins. And exercise. You have to realize that you have to have a strong body and a healthy mind, and then you can enjoy life. And always look for something new to do. Do a little traveling, and stay healthy. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.